Last Epoch in 2025 feels like one of those old friends you haven't seen in years, but when you do, it's like nothing has changed. You don't need to catch up, you don't need to relearn how to talk to each other. You just pick up right where you left off. And in a sea of ARPGs trying to be the loudest, deepest, and most exhausting games in your library, that kind of familiarity feels like a superpower. If you're new here, I do these quick reviews to look at whether a game is worth playing now in 2025 by looking at the likelihood of it ending up in your backlog. And I use my trusty and 100% accurate backlog dangerometer. Bam, bam, bam. So subscribe if you're new and let's get into the fact that look, Last Epoch isn't some genre redefining monster. It's not screaming for your attention or demanding you reorganize your life around a season pass. It's just good, clean fun. The kind of fun that feels immediate without ever being shallow. And in a year where every other RPG seems to want 100 hours only in the tutorial zones before it even gets going, that alone makes it well worth celebrating. The second season doesn't really reinvent anything, but what it does is it just makes what was already great feel even smoother. The combat still has that chunky, weighty snap to it that makes enemies explode in just the right way. Loot also drops at a very satisfying rate now, and the freedom to respec means you can experiment without ever committing to a life decision whenever you pick a new node on a skill tree. Everything around the moment-to-moment gameplay feels kinda like watching one of those most satisfying videos where you see two pieces just perfectly snap together because everything just works so well as a whole. The game feels like it doesn't punish you for trying out things that are out of the ordinary, which makes me feel like the game just respected me, as it understood that most gamers don't have 4-hour blocks to deep dive into overly layered systems. Now look, before you kill me in the comments, there are more in-depth mechanics to dig into if you want them, of course. There's gear affixes, there's crafting systems, the lot. But what's refreshing is that the game never forces you down that path. For more casual gamers like myself, of course, being able to opt out of that without ever feeling penalized is a rare and very welcome surprise. I said penalized. It always feels like you've made some kind of progress. Every session gives you that little some back. It's awesome. Now, I haven't hit the deepest layers of endgame yet, so correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe it does ramp up into something more demanding down the line. But so far, it's been super refreshing to play an RPG that lets you engage with it as deeply or as lightly as you want. Compare that to other ARPGs out right now, and the difference is, well, very startling. Diablo 4 is still chasing cosmetics and collabs, like that freaking overpriced guts from Berserk skin, while Path of Exile 2, on the other hand, look, it started off with a ton of promise as the early access launch was fast, exciting, and addictive, but recent updates have really chipped away at that magic. Meanwhile, Last Epoch just keeps being itself. It's confident, it's focused, and most importantly, it is consistent. I haven't even finished the game yet, and that does not bother me one bit. It's not a game that demands you to beat it before it's actually quote-unquote worth it. It's the kind of game you can step away from for a longer period of time and come back whenever you want without ever feeling like you need to relearn the entire meta again or consult a spreadsheet before clicking on an ability. That is rare. And in 2025, when games are only getting bigger, busier, and more bloated, something that simply lets you play and enjoy yourself without any strings attached is worth a lot more than it used to be. So consulting the omnipresent backlog dangerometer, that sounds scary, the rating sits at a solid 20%. Look, if you're into ARPGs or just want something that gets to the good part fast, stays there, and then lets you set the pace, Last Epoch is just like one of the easiest recommendations ever. It won't take over your life and it won't punish you for having one. It's the type of game that just wants you to have fun and play regardless of how long you play it for. And that is what gaming is all about, or it should be. That pretty much wraps it up for this video yet again. I do want to hear your comments or your thoughts in the comments down below, my broski. Let me know what you thought of Last Epoch or what you think of it so far. Let me know, man, how fun is it later on? How fun have you had with it? I do apologize for my raspy voice. My throat has been sick. In any case, if you want to watch me ramble on more about these kind of games, then of course subscribe to the channel. Or if you want to watch me talk in a similar way about Sea of Stars without having a raspy voice, then click this link, of course. I do hope you guys have a great day wherever you're from, whichever time of day you watch this at. I've been your broski, so keep on trucking my dudes. Peace out.